Good morning, everybody. It's Jason Medley here. I'm going to ramble just a little bit to let a couple of people get on here. As soon as we get some eyeballs, I'm going to breathe a little bit of morning fire for you and tell my story from 2008, because I know for a lot of folks that is what it feels like right now, 2008, right? Or even 9/11. At the end of the day, those are two times in our lives where we have felt out of control. And I'm sure everybody feels like that right now. So what I want to do is I want to give you breathe a little bit of fire into your life right now. And so what I want to do is I want to tell you my story. My story is almost 10 years old, and I want to tell you what I learned from it, okay? Back in 2008, I lost everything. Right? That's when the financial market collapsed and all the crazy debt and all the crazy loans that were being given out. If you're jumping on right now, give me a shout out. Just say hi. Just say good morning. But anyway, what I'm doing right now, for those of you that are watching, is I'm telling my story from 2008. That's probably 2008 and then 9/11 were probably some of the most uncertain times in my life. And I lost everything. Right? I lost everything in 2008. And I want to share with you what I learned from that, because that's what times like these are for, right? Times like these are for you to learn. In many cases, they are not the problem. The coronavirus is not the problem. The coronavirus is revealing problems that you may have that you've been ignoring or not paying attention to. And so I want to start back in early 2000, right? I was a kid, I was 28 years old. And I got into the mortgage business, and I thought I was good, right? For years, for 6 or 7 years, I was just crushing it, right? Loan after loan, I had 17 people working for me. We were cranking out 60 to 100 loans a month. We were in the way. I wasn't good. I wasn't talented. I was just hardworking and ruthless. I want to make sure you understand that, right? I wasn't good at what I was doing. I was just hardworking and ruthless, and I was in the way of momentum. A lot of people have been in the way of momentum over these last 10 years, okay? But what happened in 2008 is that momentum came to a screeching halt. Or I shouldn't say it came to a screeching halt. It slowed down dramatically. Things are kind of coming to a screeching halt right now. But I went through a period where I lost everything. I lost my business. I lost my marriage. I lost my home. I pretty much lost everything at that time, right? And I downgraded across the board. I went from a big, fancy, gigantic gas-guzzling Lincoln Navigator to a Jeep Wrangler. You name it, right? I got compressed. But I can tell you this, at a time when I didn't have anything, I had more peace than I've ever had in my entire life, right? I know that sounds kind of crazy, but when I realized I had nothing, I realized that I had everything, right? Everything. I had peace in my heart, because I realized I didn't really need all that stuff. Now, nobody likes to lose their stuff, right? But I got centered, and my faith grew to a level. Like, everything else was contracting, but my faith was increasing on a daily basis. And the first thing that I learned through all of that, and it was a bloody time, right? It was scary. It was tremendous uncertainty. The first thing that I learned to do was appreciate that which is certain, right? Appreciate that which is certain. What is certain? When I woke up this morning, my feet did not hit the floor first. It was my knees, right? I tell you what's certain. That right there, this little booger bear right here, say hi. That's my little booger bear, Ava. She's certain today, right? She's certain. But anyway, I woke up this morning, and I started with what was certain. I started on my knees, not my feet. I thank God for grace, mercy, and forgiveness, and that which I know to be true today, which was that all my senses are firing. I could see my wife laying in bed. I could feel the hardwood on my knees. I could hear Ava's sound machine. It was going, but she was actually in the bed with us. And I could smell the coffee brewing this morning. And so I encourage you right now, you've got to start out your days thanking God for what you know is certain. Thank whoever. If you don't believe in God, whatever, that's cool. But be thankful for what is certain right now. Okay, that's one of the things I learned in 2008 is don't get up and think about what you don't have. Get up and think about what you do have, right? Secondarily, what I learned was I didn't really know how to run a business. If you are a business owner right now, you've really got to ask yourself, do you know how to run a business? A lot of us are simply in the way of momentum, and we have been for the last 10 years. But one of the things that I learned is that one of the most critical measures, listen, write this down, do whatever you need to do. I've been slamming this message across the Facebook waves lately. The most critical message that I can give to you is that scaling a business correctly, maybe not always as fast as everybody talks about, but scaling it correctly requires cash management, right? It requires responsible decisions that help you understand that profit is something more than that just shows up on the bottom right-hand corner of your P&L. Cash must be managed. Cash must be put away to help you through times like these in the form of retained earnings. The same thing must happen for your family. You must have a rainy day account. Now, what does that cost you? That costs you the ability to scale faster. That costs you the ability to grow quicker, but you grow methodically. You grow with a calculated fashion, and you risk avoiding, or I should say, you don't have the risks inherent with losing your business right now. So if I could, anybody who's watching right now, give me a shout out, say good morning. But I just wanted to breathe some fire into you this morning and remind you that everything's going to be all right. I would encourage you to have two plans right now. Okay, have two plans. One, to stabilize. It is critical right now, if you are running a business, that you've got to stabilize, right? You got to figure out how to get as much cash in and plug the holes in your bucket, right? Last night, I was shredding up my P&L. I took my profit and loss statement and I took the expense section of that and I cut it and pasted it over into a new tab on the Excel spreadsheet, and then I sorted it. Zach Childress, what's up, big baby? And so I took my P&L and I cut and pasted the expense section into a new tab on that Excel spreadsheet. And then I sorted it high to low. And I began to look at it. I began calculating. I began to, with concise measure, begin analyzing that profit and loss to figure out where, if I have to, things have to be cut. That's a humbling exercise, but it's something that every business owner should be doing right now. Even if you have cash, even if you have retained earnings, because we don't really know how this is going to unfold, and you don't want to wait until it unfolds to figure those things out. So I encourage you, and if you don't run off a P&L, lesson number one is that you should, and you should be analyzing it routinely, right? That's what a real business owner does. And then secondarily, if you don't, that sounded terrible. I didn't mean that in an ugly way. But that's a graduation process. You should be looking at your P&L on a regular basis. If you don't use a P&L, get out your credit card, open up the app on your phone, your Capital One app, whatever it is. You need to begin looking through that and figuring out where you can make cuts, right? What is necessary and what is not. The other thing that I want to tell you is that you should question. You should absolutely question leadership right now. Look around you. Who have you invested in from a leadership perspective, right? I would caution you in every step of the way to be hyper aware of who you are listening to, who you are taking advice from, okay? I mean, I want to ask you a tough question. Have these people over the last several years been preparing you for this? Have they prepared you for this? Have they been telling you that every 10 years something like this happens, right? Right now we got the coronavirus. In 2008 we had the our financial systems crashed, and then we had 9/11, right? You can just about count on it. So you've got to structure your business in a way that permits for these types of bumps in the road. This might be more than a bump too. And so I question you to question the leadership. Who are you paying attention to? Have they guided you correctly through this, right? I'm the CEO of an organization called the Collective Genius. We take really the top investors in the country and we place them on a path, a shortcut, if you will, to becoming visionary leaders that scale their business, build wealth, and give back. And a visionary leader, excuse me, gang, let me get rid of that. A visionary leader does a couple of things, right? They have a mission, they have a vision, they have core values, they have strategic objectives. They have it clearly defined, right? All of it laid out. And then they also know their metrics. And if you know your metrics, if you know your KPIs, you've got to constantly be measuring them and looking at them and assessing what will and what won't work based upon what's going on right now. But again, I question you to question your leadership. If you have been paying attention to or investing in somebody, or investing in somebody who has not prepared you for this, I encourage you to question them or to look around and find people who have provided leadership that have prepared folks for like this. With that said, right now is a time of preservation, right? It's kind of like the Matrix, right? Where you're dodging things, you're not getting your head punched off. And the only reason that happened is because of hyper awareness. This is like National Geographic right now, right? You're watching a tiger, and that tiger is in the jungle, and it's hungry. Everybody's hungry right now, right? Everybody's uncertain. Everybody needs to be fed. Everybody's worried about money. But what does that tiger do, right? What does that tiger do? Michael Stansberry, you're talking to me about curate my FB feeds. I have no idea what that means. But what does a tiger do? A tiger doesn't just charge. A tiger gets down low, and it assesses. It looks right. It looks left. It looks right. It looks left. It's scanning for danger. Right now, that's what you need to do. You don't need to pounce. You need to get down low, and you need to scan left, and you need to scan right, and you need to be looking for danger, because if you make emotional decisions right now, you could very likely get punched right in the face. I see people out there telling everybody to double down on marketing, right? Everybody's situation is different. If you've got 12 plus months of retained earnings in your business, if you run a break-even analysis that says, hey, even with very little income coming in, that you can survive this for a year, maybe that's you. As far as doubling down on marketing. But for the vast majority of people, you need to shore up. That's the reality of it. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I promised when I made a decision to jump out and kind of get out in front of everybody and start leading through these challenging times, that I was going to be completely honest, regardless of how it affected me. And so the point is that you need to be hyper calculated, hyper focused. You need to have a plan to shore up, to maintain liquidity, and to keep even keel. And then once you have that, once you've done that, right, I encourage you to create a plan of attack. Not necessarily a plan of attack as in attacking other people, but a plan of attack to grow once this thing, you don't want to do that, right, once things go back to normal. You need to have a plan right now. But here's the thing, you've kind of got to assess and look at data right now before you can really make that plan. Perfect example, we're on the phone today. I run an event-based business, right? I run an event-based business, and today I'm on the phone with the hotel that we're supposed to have an event with in June. I need to understand what their posture is. Are they going to be super strict on their contractual obligations, which will probably cost me 6 figures? Or are they going to give us a deferment, right? Like, hey, as long as you reschedule your event for next June and next summer, we're okay. We'll adjust the contract. I've got to have that data right now in order to make sound decisions. There's a lot of other decisions, right? But I encourage you, you've got to look out over the next 60 to 90 days and make an assessment on where your risks are. You need to attack those risks. You need to have conversations with the people who you work with. And then when I say you got to have conversations, right? Like if I don't have an event, that impacts a lot of people. That event puts a lot of money on a lot of people's tables, whether it's our photographers, our videographers, our virtual assistants that do transcriptions of everyone's presentation, right? Like you got to communicate with people as much in advance of where you are so they can prepare as well. I want to leave with this, right? I lost everything in 2008. And I know I've already said it once on this call. I'm hoping the people that jumped on, after I've said it, so you can hear it again. One of the biggest things that I learned is, even in a time when everybody's afraid that they're going to lose everything, you've got what's most important, right? Times like these are meant to bring us back to center, okay? Times like these are meant to bring us back to center. I cannot stress that enough. I have peace in my heart right now. I won't sit here and tell you that I don't have a little bit of anxiousness or concern. I'm not going to tell you that. But each morning I get up, I start, and I have peace in my heart. I encourage you to do the same. You've got to put a fence around your mind. You've got to put a fence around your body. That's exactly what I've done today, and I'm keeping my family doing the same thing. I've got my workout in. My wife's been in there working out. I got up. I got on my knees. I thank God for everything that I have, which cannot be taken from me. And the other thing that I learned, too, is that most of us live above our means. And I vowed not to do that after 2008. And so if you are suffering of concern right now about what you could lose or what could be taken from you, again, sometimes the virus itself is not the problem, but maybe our behavior and our patterns are being revealed because of the virus. And so, although this advice, my best advice, some of it is in the rearview mirror, I encourage you to analyze decisions that you've made, prior to this virus and that are revealing themselves. Because if you don't learn from what's happening, it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again. And so I want to leave you with a formula if you are a business owner. I love you too, Zach Childress. Love you too, bro. If you are a business owner, I want to leave you a little formula, right? It's CC plus REB plus, right, RDF equals CF, right? And I want to walk you through that real quick because it's something right now that is giving me solace. It's something that I've practiced for the last several years, and it's something that puts me in a position. Again, I don't have it all figured out. Who knows what this thing looks like? But it's put me in a position where I'm pretty confident that my business is going to survive and thrive, and that my family will be well taken care of. And CC, if you're a business owner, CC stands for cash cow. You have got to create a business that has, right, and becomes, you got to create a business that becomes a cash cow, okay? So many entrepreneurs take their eye off the ball. They get decent at something, they go down another road. If you stop watering the gardens you have worked so hard to get to bloom, it will get weeds. You must stay focused, relentlessly focused on your core business in order to create a cash cow that is consistent, predictable, and reliable. CPR, right? Once you have your cash cow firing on all cylinders, you need to begin taking money and put it into retained earnings, right? On your balance sheet, that's going to show up as cash money. Now, that's what everybody wants right now, cash money, right? So you have got to create an environment where your business can sustain bumps like these. And the way that you do that is through retained earnings for your business. That's REB. Then it's plus RDF, which is a rainy day fund for your family, right? Because everybody right now is worried about cash. If you have a rainy day fund, and quite honestly, in times like these, when this kind of stuff happens, think about it. Here's what I want you to think about, right? Like a job loss is one thing, but every now and then, every 10 years, crazy things happen. Viruses, financial collapses, 2008, 9/11, right? Like 6 months is not enough. You've got I suggest a year. I'm hyper conservative. I have 2+ years. But that being hyper conservative, although during this last bull run may have cost me some opportunity, it is also currently giving me peace of mind. Okay. So again, I don't have it all figured out. I truly want the opportunity to help people right now. This is our time. We are leaders, right? I ask you to question leadership right now. Question leadership. Question leadership. I ask you to look around and who have you invested in? Who have you put money into? Who have you been following? Have they prepared you for this? Or have they just been painting roses and tulips, right? Who have you been listening to? Yeah, I'm with you too, Zach. A year's worth, 2 years. You've got to be ready for these things. And here's what I want to share. And forgive me if this is not meant to be in any way, shape, or form self-serving. But I have worked diligently over the last 2.5 years, right? Over the last 2.5 years to protect the men and women inside of my organization, which is called the Collective Genius. We have had presentations driven around what to do when your P&L is in the green but your bank statement is in the red. We have brought in people like Michael Maloskowitz from Profit First. That's a great book. You should go get it. It really lays out the formula that I've been talking about with you. We have had Marcus Krigler, the CPA, to some of the biggest guys in this business, the biggest guys in the real estate business, running us through financial scorecards and health checks for our business. We have been constantly telling our members to scale to get better. Don't scale to get bigger. We've been constantly telling our members to put cash away, to take some chips off the table, right? We have been preparing our people. We have been preparing them to protect their businesses and to protect their families. So I encourage you, follow somebody, anybody who has prepared their people for this. And then just remember, you have to do the same as a leader, right? Right now, it's extremely difficult to lead. Things are unfolding. We don't have the answers. All we have is guidance and direction. And I want to encourage you that if you are going to be a leader, if you're going to step into that role, you need to be strong. You need to be powerful. You need to bring certainty to the equation. With that said, gang, I'm going to jump off of here because I have got work to do. Put a fence around your mind. Put a fence around your body. Put a fence around your business, right? Be hyper-calculated. What's up, Big Barnes? Be hyper-calculated, right? Just be observant right now. Don't make any crazy moves. Don't get emotional. Don't think because the stock market's down 10,000 points or because some other real estate investors are going to have to come home right now that you need to pounce. You need to be calculated You need to be that tiger that's laying down low, scanning left and scanning right, and you need to be assessing for danger, right? Preservation of principle right now is key. Preserve your principle, and when the time is right, there will be plenty of opportunity. And I want to stress to you that it's not just opportunity to help yourself, it's opportunity to help other people. Okay? It's not about taking advantage of other people right now. It's about helping them in every way, shape, and form that you can. Because if you have the opportunity to help them, you're likely in a better situation than they are. So make sure that you enter into this with the right set of core values. Okay? I encourage you, if you don't have core values in your family, if you don't have core values in your business, you need to define those right now. You need to know who you are, what you stand for, what you stand against, because you're going to be having to make decisions. And in most cases, in my business, when we're struggling with a decision, we come back to center. We come back to center. What are our core values? Our core values are community, their integrity, their go-giving, right? And they're the discipline to observe those first three core values. And so when we have struggles, when we have questions, we refer back to those. Are we honoring our community? Are we violating integrity? Are we being go-givers, right? So I encourage you to, that's what leaders do. Leaders, visionary leaders have core values. Right? They make their decisions based upon those core values. And so I encourage you to sit down with your team. If you don't have core values, to define those. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? Because you're going to need to know the answer to those things right now in order to make it through this challenging time. I want to leave you with one thing. The majority of the folks that watch this are real estate investors, because that's my crowd. You are a real estate investor. You're always looking for an ROI. And I want to tell you something that we always say at the Collective Genius, right? Although we are real estate investors looking for an ROI, our best ROI right now is investing in each other. Invest in somebody. Help them out right now, okay? You're going to get what you give. It's pretty simple. They're just basic principles. So get an ROI with helping somebody right now, you know? And with that said, I'm signing off. Love you guys. We always say this at CG2, right? Real growth is the pursuit of truth and love. Not a lot of people got enough balls to get on a Facebook Live and say that, but that's how we roll at the Collective Genius. Real growth is the pursuit of truth and love. So be honest about what's going on right now. Embrace the truth. Question leadership. And just go love on each other. All right? I'll talk to you guys soon. If there's anything I can do to help you, reach out to me. And we'll talk to you soon.